Hi there, I'm RockDC. This is going to be a very loosely scripted basic intro to how to use the D2 damage generator sheet. To give a brief explanation, I'm the data collector and gatherer for this sheet, and I've been messaged quite often about how to make specific comparisons, and when I try to explain how to use it, people find text or the how to use section not visual enough, and they've asked me to make a little video, so that's going to be what this is. So to start with, we're going to, as always, make a little copy. So this allows us to edit the values in the sheet. There's a little bit of a load time, but it's not too bad. There we go. So to start with, we have the how to use section, which will kind of explain the sheet, our metrics, our DPS metrics, how we handle specific exotics, if say they have damage over time or damage values that change, specific perks, and a couple of recommendations for other sheets. Fairly straightforward. Now, the most common thing I get asked about is how to compare specific weapons. So that's fairly straightforward in your copy. Let's say you want to compare LFRs. You're just going to tick some of the LFRs that you want to see. So let's say we add reads there. And say the crafted cataclysmic. There we go. It gives you all the values, all our DPS metrics, which are explained in the how to use with a nice little visual thing. And the encounter damage. This will also give you a little visual graph to show over time. Now this increments in 0.5 seconds and it all has to be pre-calculated. The reason being, if we had live calculations, performance on the sheet would be horrendous. So they all have to be rerun the script. And if you add buffs or debuffs or you change any values, this graph and the encounter damage stat will no longer be accurate as they're not considering the new values. There is a way to rerun the scripts to update those, but it's fairly involved and it's outside the scope of this video. Just letting you know that ahead of time. So let's say we want to add a well to these to see how that changes it. We can tick the buffs and debuffs, go over here, turn off tether, and we have radiant. So that'll increment all the values by the correct 25%, and there you go. Let's say we want to make this a bit more involved and we want to see how Font of Might affects them. We can turn on Font of Might here, which will by default enable it for all weapons, but we can also choose our element up here. So let's say Behemoth. And all the stasis weapons are now incremented by an extra amount. So if we sort by optimized DPS, don't worry about the Delicate Tomb, that's a bug that will be fixed. But you can see that the reads has shot up in the rankings because Font of Might is working for it. Easy peasy. Now, if you want to go a little further with this, let's turn this off and resort this so it looks a bit more sane. We have a crafting sheet which allow you to craft specific roles, for at least for the perks that we can support in this with a reasonable degree of accuracy. So let's say you want to check out how Bump of the Night is doing. We can, rocket launcher, it's an aggressive frame, it is stasis. Let's go with field prep and Vopal. And then that will have incremented correctly. Let's sort by that. And that's dropped down. But if we add in buffs and debuffs again, and sort again, you can see that the crafted weapon has also shot up in the rankings because of Font of Might. Easy peasy. Now we, to go back to something I mentioned before, we have the encounter damage stat over here, which is a 0.5 second increment over time, and you can set the duration of it up here. We have a few default ones listed, but you can also just choose here. So let's say you want to cover a Kali plate. Oh, sorry, not Kali, Keitel. You can set it to 10 seconds. And that will tell you, with a reasonable degree of accuracy, how much damage you'll have done at the 10-second mark exactly. So if you want to get a bit specific and see how, say if a reload happens at an inopportune time, how that would affect it, that'll help you with that. We can also sort by that if you want to go absolute min-maxing on it. This won't always be totally accurate with weapons that change damage over time, but it should be pretty close. Just be wary if you've got very short duration encounters that they might not have averaged out yet. You can go this a step further where if you want to try and edit values in the database, that's supported. If say you want to cover upcoming changes to get a little preview of them, or you have something even more specific in mind that the crafted weapon can't really support. Let's say, for example, you want to add a wolf pack rounds. We have the value hidden away in here. This is an average of 8 impacts and 8 explosions of wolf pack. We have to pick something to flat it, and that seems to be what's sort of intended, even though Gjallarhorn is a bit different, but I don't want to get into that. Let's say you want to add that to a base precision rocket launcher to see how it catches up. We can go with equals and then plus that value, and boom. The modified impact will update just because there are modifiers applied to it, but its value has gone up. And then say maybe you want to try adding clown to it. So you can just change the magazine to 2. And there you go, it goes up even further. Just like that. Now, now that you've made all these changes, maybe you're a little worried. Maybe you'll miss when a new update happens, or maybe it'll be spread around a lot, and maybe it just kind of gets lost. We have a system in place for that, where when your version gets out of date, it adds a bunch of warnings to let you know there's a new update. So to show that really quick, I'm going to change the version here to be an older one. And you get a nice little red text here, and one at the top here, just to let you know that you can come back to the original sheet, make a new copy, and work with all the changes that we've rolled out. Okay, I think that's everything I've got covered. I hope this is helpful. Give me any feedback if there's anything else you'd prefer to have me explain. Thank you very much.